The Firebird, a Ladybird book. The Firebird. Many years ago in Russia there lived a powerful king. A king in that country was called a Tsar. The gardens around the Tsar's palace had many beautiful trees and flowers, but his greatest treasure was a tree on which golden apples grew. The Tsar was very proud of this tree. He went to look at it every day. Then one day, an apple was missing. The next day, another apple was missing. When a third apple disappeared, the Tsar grew angry. He set men to watch, but nobody could catch the thief. The Tsar had 3 sons. The eldest was called Peter, the second Vasily, and the youngest was named Ivan. One day he called the young men to his room. "A robber is stealing my golden apples," said the Tsar, "and I've decided that whoever can catch this villain may have half my kingdom." The eldest son stepped forward. "We'll do our best, father," he said. "I will be the first, and I will watch in the orchard tonight." So Peter went to the garden to keep guard by the golden apple tree. He did his best to keep awake, but it was no good. In the morning he found that another apple had gone while he was asleep. Peter had to tell his father that he had not caught the thief, and the Tsar told his second son to go to the orchard on the next night. Vasily had no better luck than Peter. Although he tried just as hard to keep awake, he too fell asleep. And when daylight came, yet another apple had disappeared. The Tsar was disappointed in his sons. When Ivan said he would watch over the tree on the third night, his father did not have much hope. "Go if you like," he said, "but I think you'll fail just as your brothers have done." Ivan took his place by the tree and decided that he would not sit down. He walked for many hours, and whenever he felt sleepy, he washed his eyes in the dew. At last he had his reward. Suddenly there was a flash of golden light, and a glittering bird with shining feathers flew up to the tree. Ivan watched as the creature began to peck with its jeweled beak at the golden apple. He crept silently towards the bird and grasped its tail. The bird broke free and fluttered away, but Ivan was left with a beautiful shining feather in his hand. The next morning Ivan took the feather to his father, and the Tsar was very pleased. "It must have been the Firebird," he said when Ivan told him what had happened. Then the Tsar began to think that the Firebird would be an even greater treasure than his golden apples. One day he sent for his sons. "I have decided that I must have the Firebird," he said. "Saddle your horses and go in search of it. And don't forget, if you succeed, you may have half of my kingdom." Peter and Vasily set out at once, but the Tsar told Ivan that he was too young to go. This made Ivan very unhappy. He pleaded with his father and reminded him that he had seen the Firebird already. In the end, the Tsar agreed, and Ivan put on his armour and rode into the forest. He travelled for several days until he came to a large stone. He dismounted to read the message, which was carved on the side, and it said, "Go ahead and you will be hungry. Go left and you will die. Go right and you will lose your horse." Ivan thought for a while and then decided to take the path to the right. He'd been riding all day when suddenly a huge grey wolf darted from the bushes. The wolf pounced on Ivan, toppling him from his horse, which fled into the forest. "You read the message on the stone," cried the wolf, and bounded away. Poor Ivan had to walk now, became very tired and was sure that he would never find the Firebird. At last he sat down to rest. Almost at once the wolf appeared again. "I'm sorry I frightened your horse away," he said, "but you saw the message on the stone. If you are so weary, tell me where you are going and I will carry you." "I'm looking for the Firebird who stole my father's golden apples," replied Ivan. "Only I know where the Firebird lives. He belongs to a Tsar called Afron," said the grey wolf. "Climb on my back and I will take you." As soon as Ivan had climbed on, the wolf ran swiftly through the forest, and at last they came to a high stone wall. "You will find the Firebird there," whispered the grey wolf, "but take care. Whatever you do, you must not touch its cage." Ivan climbed over the wall, and there indeed was the beautiful Firebird in a golden cage. Forgetting all about the grey wolf's warning, he seized the golden cage. At once bells began to ring and guards ran from every side. "Stop, thief!" shouted the soldiers as he turned to run. They caught him and took him before the Tsar Afron, who was very angry. "Why do you come here and try to steal my property?" he roared. Ivan was ashamed. "Sir, your Firebird stole my father's golden apples, and he told me to catch it," he said. "And why didn't you ask me honestly instead of trying to steal it?" said the Tsar. "Perhaps I would have given it to you. Now I must tell everybody that you are a thief." Then Tsar Afron saw how ashamed Ivan was. "I might forget what you have done if you will do something for me. In the next kingdom there is a horse with a golden mane. Bring it to me, and I will give you the Firebird." Ivan agreed eagerly, and the soldiers set him free. He hurried back to the grey wolf, who was waiting outside. When he had heard all that happened, the grey wolf said, "I told you not to touch the cage. Come along, I will carry you to the next kingdom." Swiftly the wolf carried Ivan through the forest until they came to the courtyard of a large castle. "Go quietly," whispered the grey wolf. "The horse is in there, but on no account touch the bridle." As Ivan tiptoed into the stable, he could hear the grooms talking next door. He found a splendid charger with a shining golden mane standing in a stall. Ivan wondered how he could quietly lead him out, and then he saw the bridle hanging on the wall. Without thinking, he took it down and slipped it onto the horse. Straight away there was a great commotion, and Ivan was surrounded by angry servants. "Our master will punish you," shouted the men. "Tsar Kuzman never lets his prisoners escape." Ivan was led trembling to the Tsar, who glared at him angrily. "I see from your armor that you are a prince," he said. "Why do you come here like a thief to steal my horse?" Then the Tsar continued, "I should tell everybody of your disgrace, but perhaps you can help me." Ivan looked up hopefully when he heard this. "In the next kingdom lives a beautiful princess, the fair Helena," said the Tsar, "and I love her dearly. Bring her to me and I will pardon you." Ivan said that he would try, and Tsar Kuzman let him go. Ivan hurried to the wolf and told him what had happened. The grey wolf sighed at his foolishness, but forgave him once more. "Get on my back and let us go and find the fair Helena," he said. Ivan and the wolf rushed headlong through the night. They went so fast that birds and small animals in the forest were startled as they passed. Then, after many miles, they reached a magnificent palace. "This time I shall take charge," said the grey wolf. "This is the home of Tsar Dolmat. Wait for me by this oak tree." So saying, the grey wolf leapt over the wall and hid in the palace gardens. After a while, the fair Helena came out with her ladies and walked among the flowers. Grey Wolf sprang out and seized the princess, then sped back to the oak tree. "Hurry!" he shouted. Ivan jumped up behind Helena, and the powerful wolf galloped off. There were angry shouts from the palace and the sounds of horsemen in pursuit. But Grey Wolf was swifter than the wind, and the three escaped. Ivan and Helena clung together on Grey Wolf's back. All day he ran powerfully through the forest back to the Tsar Kusman's castle. Ivan was a handsome youth and Helena was beautiful. Before long they had fallen deeply in love, and as they approached the castle, Ivan began to look very sad. Grey Wolf looked over his shoulder and asked what was wrong. Ivan began to weep. "Alas," he said, "I have to part with Helena, and I cannot. I love her too much, and she loves me." The wolf slowed down a little and thought a while. "Ivan," he said, "I have served you faithfully, but I think there is one more thing I can do for you. I can take the shape of Princess Helena. Leave her here and lead me to the Tsar. When you think of me again, I shall turn back into a wolf and return to you." Ivan was very grateful to his friend and was amazed to see him change into the exact likeness of Helena. Leaving the real Helena at the edge of the forest, the two made their way to Tsar Kusman. The Tsar was delighted and gladly gave the horse with the golden mane to Ivan. Ivan bowed deeply and left. Went back to Helena, and they galloped away on the wonderful horse to get the Firebird. Meanwhile, Tsar Kusman arranged a marriage. He was to marry fair Helena, but of course she was really far away with Ivan. The ceremony was about to begin when Ivan suddenly thought about Grey Wolf ending the magic spell. As Tsar Kusman was about to kiss his beautiful bride, she turned into a wolf with a whiskery muzzle and long yellow teeth. Everybody was so amazed that Grey Wolf was able to slip quietly away. He soon caught up with Ivan and Helena. There was only one thing to do, to exchange the horse with the golden mane for the Firebird. But Ivan did not want to lose his beautiful horse. "If you can turn yourself into a princess," he said to Grey Wolf, "surely you could also change into a horse." Now, you might well think that Grey Wolf had done enough for Ivan. He was proud of his magic skills, however, as well as being fond of Ivan and Helena. So he immediately turned into a horse, just the same as Ivan's splendid steed. "When you think of me again," said the wolf, "I shall come back." Ivan was very pleased. When they neared Tsar Afron's place, he left Helena with the real horse and walked on with Grey Wolf, who neighed and tossed his head. Tsar Afron was overjoyed to see the horse with the golden mane and gladly gave the Firebird to Ivan. Ivan took his leave, and soon he and Helena were galloping on the real horse towards his father's house. A little while later, Ivan thought of Grey Wolf. At that moment, Tsar Afron was out hunting on his new horse and was terrified when it suddenly changed into a snarling wolf and slunk away. Now Ivan had the Firebird, the wonderful horse, and fair Helena. The wolf who had caught up with them padded alongside until they came to the place where he had attacked Ivan's horse. There Grey Wolf stopped. My work is done, he said, and now I must leave you. Ivan was very sad to part with his faithful friend. Do not say goodbye, said the wolf. You may have need of me yet. Then he turned and was soon lost to sight in the forest. Ivan and Helena travelled on towards his home. The journey was long and the weather was hot, and they felt they must rest. Ivan tied up the horse. They lay down in the grass and were soon fast asleep. And as they slept, who should come by but Ivan's two brothers? They had been looking for the fireburst, but of course had not been able to find it. Peter reined his horse and spoke to Vasily. Look, Ivan has found the Firebird, and see, he has a horse with a golden mane and a beautiful lady too. This is too much, because father will give him half the kingdom as well. Rage filled Peter's heart, and drawing his sword, he killed poor Ivan. When Helena woke in terror, Vasily pointed his sword at her throat. You will die too if you say one word to our father about this. Poor Helena could do nothing. Vasily put her on the horse with the golden mane, and the evil brothers led her to their father's palace. Ivan lay dead in the forest, and ravens circled over his body. Many days later, Grey Wolf came by and saw his friends surrounded by young birds. Swiftly he seized one of the fledglings, and the mother bird flew down and pleaded for its life. I will spare your child if you will do something for me, said Grey Wolf. Fly over the mountains and bring me the water of life. The frantic mother agreed and flew off. She was soon back with a small phial in her beak. Quickly, Grey Wolf sprinkled the water on Ivan, and slowly the prince woke up. I have been asleep a long time, he said. Get on my back, said Grey Wolf. We have no time to lose. As Ivan, riding on the wolf, drew near to his father's palace, he saw that the banners were flying and the people in their best clothes were hurrying towards the gates. Grey Wolf told Ivan what had happened. Your brothers found you asleep and they killed you, and then they took the Firebird and the horse with the golden name, and they stole Helena away. Today she is to be married to Vasily, and your brother Peter will have half the kingdom. Ivan hurried into the palace, and there stood Helena in her wedding dress. And when she saw Ivan, she gave a cry of joy. His two brothers were struck dumb with terror. When the Tsar heard Ivan's story, he banished the wicked brothers and gave half his kingdom to the youngest son instead. Ivan and Helena were married. They lived happily ever after. As for Grey Wolf, perhaps he's still helping people in the endless dark forests of Russia.